April 5th blows, and not in a good way. Episode 15. Trev TV. I'm Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it, as always. And once again, I'm in the corner of a round room. And it's not because I have to be this time. And if you remember from the last video, I showed you why, because I had a big box barbecue that I hadn't put together yet. It's not because that's still there. Actually, I'll show you where that is. That big old barbecue is sitting right there right now, all put together and undercover. But yeah, it's not because that hasn't put together yet, because I actually did put that together. It's more or less because I think the corner in the round room just actually felt comfortable for a change, and there was a lot less time needed to set up. But even if it's just for a few episodes, you can expect more of the corner of the round room, and there will be more videos put in their proper place, or done in their proper place, with the backdrop setting and all that, and they'll probably be coming this week and next week, but we'll get there when we get there. Now, if you didn't tell off the opening teaser shot, yeah, I'm talking about a date that blows in my mind. Yeah, I just said it again. I have no script for this. This is completely off the hook. This is off the top of my mind, and this is from memory. I'm talking today about the 25th, I don't know if you want to call it an anniversary, since the coroner reported passing of Kurt Cobain, and the 17th anniversary of the coroner reported death of Layne Staley, and why it means anything to me, considering they're just, celebrities that I happen to listen to and idolize quite a bit when I was a teenager. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The reason that I say April 5th blows is because according to the coroner's report, if you don't know the story, according to the coroner's report, they were both found dead. Or they were found dead much later than April 5th. But the coroner said that they both died April 5th. Granted, they were 8 years apart. And if you want, I'm going to get into a history lesson right now. If you don't want me to bore you with a history lesson, I'll give you a timestamp down here, or you can just get to get past me talking about history. Apparently, Kurt was found. I'm going to talk about Kurt first. Kurt was found on April 8th, 1994. From a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I'll get into that after, if you know what I'm talking about. He's found on April 8th, but the coroner said he'd been there for 3 days. So he had committed suicide on April 5th. And he was 27 when he had passed. And I remember that day like a photograph. To be honest, not April 5th, April 8th. It was a Friday. Keep in mind, if you remember history from my Nevermind in Utero video, this is just after I had gotten into Nirvana, because In Utero was the album that hooked me. If you're not sure, watch the video. I remember in the days leading up, April 4th to 7th, I listened to the radio on the way to school. I listened to the radio on the way home. I listened to radio at home. And from April 4th to April 7th, anytime they played Nirvana, anytime they were talking news, the big news was Nirvana might be breaking up. It's like, well, fuck, I just got into this band. Excuse me. This was when I was transitioning from top 40 to guitar-oriented music. When they found him April 8th, I was in class. I was in school. I didn't find out until about 3:40 that afternoon. I had paid no attention to the outside world from 8:30 to 3:30. So 3:45, when they had just announced on the radio that Kurt Cobain had passed, and they had been playing Nirvana for the last 15 minutes, I thought they must have broke up or something. And then when they announced, I forget who the bear announced it. I can't believe I just gave a pop to the bear. Are you fucking serious? Focus. They announced he passed, and I was a little shook, but at the same time it was like, well, these kinds of things happen, but you don't ever think it happened to somebody at 27, right? But for whatever reason, he had passed on at that point. Now I'm going to talk about Layne. As for when Layne died, according to the coroner, it was April 5th, but when they had found him, it was April 19th. So that's 2 weeks. And according to the police report, he was already partially decomposing, and they could only really identify him through dental records. At the time of his passing, he weighed 86 pounds. And near the end, from 99 to his passing, he was pretty much a recluse. And you could blame any number of reasons for that, being his problems with heroin, cocaine, or both, or the passing of Demry, his longtime girlfriend, or fiance, that overdosed in 98, maybe 97. But anyway, I don't remember what I was doing that April 5th, but I remember what I was doing that April 19th, not knowing about Layne Staley's death. I learned about that the day after, when it was one of those things where every April 20th, 420, remember? If you were one of those guys or girls or people, I guess I should say, that partook in rebelling against the system by standing in front of your government building smoking marijuana, that's where I was. And I only found out because somebody had said, "Hey, did you hear Layne Staley died?" And I was like, "No." So of course, naturally, when I found myself near a computer, I looked it up, and sure as shit, he had passed on. He was 34, going 35 if he'd have made it to August. So this is the part where I talk about, well, I guess I should mention the elephant in the room, the conspiracy theory around Kurt Cobain. Here's my take on it, and I don't know how long I've felt like this. I know it's been at least, I want to say 18, 19 years. Whether or not it was suicide or murder, he's not here. He's gone. There's no changing that. So why hang up your hopes on if you can prove if he was murdered or not? And that's kind of why I think Layne's passing is a little more, I guess there's really no better way to put it, straightforward. Like, he was in his apartment, and he was found with paraphernalia. Apparently he had 2 loaded syringes ready to go, and he was found on his couch, partially decomposed. So, as for the conspiracy theory, I don't buy it. Like I said, whether or not it was murder, whether or not it was suicide, that doesn't change the fact. So there's really no point in kicking a dead horse. No, God damn it! Now I'm giving Guns N' Roses props. Guns N' Roses has a song called "Dead Horse." If you didn't know that. Anyway, did it really make a difference to the musical industry? Absolutely, it did. Well, at least Kurt's passing did. Because you got to remember, Kurt was the poster boy for the grunge scene. So, when he passed, grunge kind of definitely went by the wayside, and you got post-grunge. And, when I think of post-grunge, I think of punk rock in the 80s. It's not dead, it just sucks. Of course, if it weren't for post-grunge, we wouldn't have Foo Fighters. We could do without Puddle of Mudd, but we wouldn't have Foo Fighters. So, for what it meant for Layne Staley, ultimately it led to a hiatus for Alice in Chains, and I've always been of the mind of, if one of the lead singers dies or quits, stop the band. And to this day, I have not listened to any new Alice in Chains, and they've put out 4 new albums. Black Gives Way to Blue, Dinosaurs. Gotta put Dinosaurs here. I think there's one more. And then there's Rain Your Fog, which is their new album, which they're coming to tour, which I'm not going to see. For me, it really only impacted me in the sense of when I was first starting to learn guitar, I taught myself Nirvana. I mean, I learned a lot from other people, but at the same time, I was getting to the point where I could just listen to songs and just play around with it, and if it feels good, I think I got the basic structure. Nirvana, Kurt, however you want to call it, taught me song structure and how to kind of place music where you want to place words. And I guess you could say both of them taught me a thing or two about lyrical structure and what you kind of want to put in a song, what makes a good song. And I mean, me being my own worst critic when it came to my writing, oh my God. Anyway, Layne more or less taught me vocal structure, but also how to flow it with music. I mean, it's not so much I wanted to sound like Layne, because I can't yarl like Layne. If you're unfamiliar with what yarling is, search up any Alice in Chains song and just listen to the vocals. Never mind the fact that they're triple layered. It wasn't so much I wanted to sound like Layne, but I knew when you listen to Alice in Chains and you just listen to Layne's voice go with the guitars and go with the song, it just fits so well. So with Layne, it was a case of the song sounds good if you can make it flow with your music. Lyrical structure in a nutshell. There you go. Propping Alice in Chains now. So as a musician, as an artist, it kind of impacted me in a sense. Well, I mean, when Kurt passed, I was still pretty young. But Alice in Chains, like I said, was on a bucket list. You know, I wanted to see them while Layne was alive and able to tour. Because when I got into Alice in Chains, they put out their self-titled album. And I bought it on a whim. And it's like, I hope I like this, because I hear good things about Alice in Chains, and I wasn't disappointed. The sad thing is, and I mean, I'm not an expert on the two of them. I never hung around them a day in my life, obviously. The sad thing is, though, whether or not they crossed paths on tours or whatever else, both bands, both singers kind of came from the same scene. Seattle. And I don't know, maybe in passing, it kind of put not so much more of a spotlight, but almost like, I don't know. It's like if you're into the Seattle scene, if you're an artist coming out of Seattle, you've either got a bad drug problem, a tortured soul, or just a really good songwriter. Because I mean, Chris Cornell came from Seattle. Jimi Hendrix came from Seattle. You know, Shannon Hoon came from Seattle. I could go on. There's a long list of artists that came from Seattle. Duff McKagan. Enough with the Guns N' Roses, Trev. Anyway. So how did I choose to remember them today? Well, same way I do every year. I at least put on my favorite album by both artists and listen to them at least once a day. Or once that day, once 2 days. Today I listened to In Utero about 3 times. And I listened to Facelift twice. I listened to Dirt twice. I listened to Self-Titled 1 time. I was trying to fit in Jar of Flies, but at the same time, I was also listening to some Burtsum. A lot of Westerners say Burzum. It's Burtsum. You gotta roll the R. I know, I can't roll the R right now. I got the pasties. Just don't. And I was listening to some Mayhem, so I mean, I was kind of in two different places all day. It was if it wasn't grunge, if it wasn't metal, take a pick. But that's how I choose to remember them every year. Just listen to my favorite albums and think of what could have been and what never was. That was episode 15 of Trev TV. I want to thank you for tuning in. You at least gave me 10 minutes of your time, so I do appreciate that. Feel free to like me on Facebook at Trev's TV. Feel free to like me on Instagram at rockstartrev TV. Hit subscribe if you haven't hit subscribe yet. I mean, it's always fun me going on rants and making videos for you, and I hope you guys do appreciate them. Like I said, I got a slew of more videos coming this weekend, next week, with the NHL season coming to an end, so I'll have some more hockey videos coming up. Probably some more other videos about different things in between. So in the meantime, in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from Trev. Later.